I'm very excited to share with you how I do my vibe coding development. This is going to be a quick tour, a walkthrough. I'm going to show you how I'm set up, what are the tools that I use, how I use them, and how I can add a really powerful feature quickly using these tools. It's obviously all about AI development. I'm going to be showing you how I set up my cursor instance. Where's cursor? There it is. My cursor instance, and how I develop this web application, and then preview it on a browser. So here's the browser with running the application. I can run this application locally to do the testing and the debugging, and then push it out to the web. I'll show you how to do all of this. So first, let me walk you through my setup for Cursor. This is my Cursor instance. You can see this is a working web application. It's a Next.js application. On the right-hand side, I can enable the chat so I can request the features. First, I'm going to run the application locally. So if I show you my browser is, here we go. My browser is currently running an instance of the application that's deployed to the web. So let's switch to the local instance, sorry, right over here. And you can see it's not, it can't be reached because it's not running. So I'm going to run the instance npm dev, and the application is loading. And once it's done, there we go. Application should be running now. You can see here that it's serving it. Give it a second. And this is the reason why I do a lot of the testing locally, so I don't have to wait for the push out. You're going to see the steps that it goes through in order to become a web application that you can view. So you can see this application if you go to ep.fallback.life. That'll take you to this landing page. And from here, you can click on Initiate Plan, and you'll be able to see some of the cool features. So let's start by viewing the main landing page locally. Here it is. So now I'm running on localhost port 3000, and so I have the application working locally. The feature I'm going to show you is an admin feature you won't have access to, but from my side, I can go into the admin page. This is a site for people who are looking to prepare for cases of emergency, and it allows me to manage the list of products that you can purchase from us or through an affiliate link. I won't get into a lot of the details, but I'll show you that we have all of the products loaded up into different categories. So let me show you what that looks like. Here is an example of a category, for instance, food, water, and waste. And underwater, you have a bunch of different things. You have this water filter system, and you have a specific product. And if I go and click to edit this product, I can see the description, I can see the Amazon ID, and the link to where I can find that product. All right, so the feature that I'm going to do today, even if you don't understand exactly the mechanism of the application, the feature that I'm going to be working on is how do I take the products that have been loaded into Supabase and make them available as an offline Excel spreadsheet. Right now, it's sitting in Supabase, that is my Postgres database backend, but I want to be able to export from here so I can have an offline copy. So in order to do that, I'm going to add a button here to export my product catalog, and I'm going to switch back to show you how I do this in Cursor. So in Cursor, I now open a new chat. I'm going to chat, select Gemini 3 Pro, and I'm using the Max mode. It's the smartest model. It works amazingly well. And how am I going to do this? I want, when I am on the product catalog, and I like to give the a new chat some hints on where to find pages, so I don't have to look for the actual name of the file. So if you notice, product catalog is in \admin/products. So \admin/products page, sorry about that, page. I want to be able to export the product catalog in a beautifully formatted Excel spreadsheet. Use tabs to break apart related tables and simplify the view, but retain the knowledge about my product structure in this file. That is all I'm going to do, and let's see how it works from here. Now, while this is working, I want to show you a bit more about, oh, sorry, you didn't see the prompt. So the prompt that I entered was, let's show this to you in large, is this. When I'm on the product catalog, I want to be able to, etc. Everything that you heard me say. So now let's go back and I will show you a couple of things. First of all, just so that you can see, I have this all sitting in a database in Supabase. So this is the project. I have a bunch of different projects that I manage from here. I'm going to go into the emergency planning, and this is where the tables, everything about this application sits. The next thing I wanted to show you was render. So that is the service that I'm using in order to deploy my application. It essentially allows me to run a virtual server, a web service, and take this code, have it set up, deploy, and run on render. And the last and not least, I should show you that all of this is sitting on GitHub as an intermediary. So I have a repository, which is, it's a private repository, but this is where my source code is being routed to. So back in Cursor, you can see that in my source control, I have everything set up, and here are some files that are staged, ready to be pushed out to Visual Studio, to GitHub. Once I make changes and I like the code, how it's running locally, I will then commit this out to GitHub. So then when you go out to GitHub, you will see those changes replicated here. In the meanwhile, render is listening live to GitHub. It's linked to GitHub. So the moment that there's change in the source code, it's going to recompile and attempt to deploy and update the website, which is accessible at ep.fallback.live. So now that you understand, that is my workflow. Let's see where we are in the development. So it's asking me to accept some changes. I'm gonna let it run, and so this is what it looks like so far. In Cursor, it's started to make some of the changes. I'll make this wider so you can see the updates. It's building up some library accesses, modifying the page, and remember, we're just installing a export feature. So what I'm going to do now, let's see the impact of the changes as they're being pushed into the local server. So the local server is running, you can see here in the middle of Cursor, and while that is happening, those updates will get pushed out live. So if I go to my local instance, here we go. I already have an export button. I'm going to, you can see here right next to import. I am going to wait for this to finish all the updates. That's it. It looks like it did it. So let's see what it's done. I'm going to click on export. Oops, it's already done it. And now there is a Excel spreadsheet. So let's see what that Excel spreadsheet looks like. So let's look at what it did. It added all of the fields that are in the database about products. It's created a bunch of tabs. So I'm curious what's in these tabs. So it has a lot of the information from the original database. That's cool. And then it has master items. That's really cool. I have this relationship between different tables. Master items linked to products. I have lists of suppliers. I have categories. It really has put everything into this. Now, I don't like that it doesn't look nice. It's not formatted. So let's see if we can improve that. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try. So let's switch back to Cursor. And here say, great work. I love to compliment my AI. I don't know why. I want the Excel cells to be colored and formatted to make it look professional. Can you add that? So I'm curious to see what it'll do. Now, in the meantime, let's say that I like this feature. I don't have the export button on the live site yet. So first I'm going to use the AI feature in Cursor to, well, this is a Visual Studio Codes feature, to add the notes about this update, and then I'm going to commit, and then I'm going to sync. So what is this doing? In the meantime, this is, if I go switch back to the browser, where's the browser? Then GitHub has received the updates, and if I refresh, we'll see that the changes have been pushed out, and render is monitoring, and notice that there's a change. So if you notice, it says here deploy started, and it's in the middle of deploy. I can click into it and I can see what it's doing. It's actually cloning the GitHub repository, and then it's going to try to compile it. Sometimes the code that gets generated doesn't pass compilation, and I'll show you how to resolve it. But essentially, I just go into Cursor and I copy the screen from render, and I ask it to resolve the issue. Sometimes you can replicate it by just doing an npm run build locally and attempt to compile. But sometimes compile passes locally doesn't on render, so I just copy everything from render into Cursor and have it resolve it. But it looks like it's going to pass the compilation. In the meantime, just to show you how this is all closing the loop, so we have an export button here in the the local version, but in the remote version, if I go into products, I still don't have the export button. Has not been implemented. So this is where we wait for the compilation to complete. In the meanwhile, so there's a lot of things that are happening here in the background. This is a little of the pace that I do things. I see features, and I love the fact that I can open another tab and ask for another feature enhancement. Let's keep this single threaded. There's already a lot that's happening. It's implemented the cell coloration. It's adding a package, Excel.js, and it's going to add some formatting. I'm really excited to see what that looks like. So let's see what's happening on the render side. So where are you, Mr. Render? Render, looks like render is almost finished. All right, so Cursor is almost finished with the enhancement. This is really exciting. Excited to see what this is going to look like. A couple other things that kind of habits that I have. If I want to see if this passes compilation, and you see that it can take 2-3 minutes for deployment on render to complete, what I'll do is I'll open another terminal here, and I'll attempt to do a build locally. So npm run build, and then I don't have to wait for it to go out to GitHub and then to render to see if it's not passing compilation. I'm not going to do that in this case because I think that we're going to be good. It's not a big, but you know what? You never know. In the meantime, in the meantime, let's go back and see what's happening in render. So let's go back to, where are you, render? Here you are. So render is showing me, by the way, you see there's an icon on the tab. It was yellow while it was compiling and deploying, and now it's green, which indicates that it's live. So I can now go to the web address where the server is serving, and if I hit refresh, I should see the new version up, and there we go. We have the export button. Now I can export. It'll still be the boring version because I didn't push out the nicely colored version that supposedly is in process right now. So it's now building that, and it's going to add some more libraries, and that's it. It's done. So if that's true, let's look at the local version and run it. And this is a perfect example. So it looks like there is a bug. Let me just confirm that there is a bug. It looked like the app crashed. No, Let's see. Yep, nope, there is a bug. And this is actually a perfect example of what I do in order to fix things. So I just grab this, copy this error, and I go back to cursor. And in cursor, I say there is an error, please fix, and I paste the error. And this will 9 out of 10 get resolved almost immediately. And it's isolated. I've gotten lazy and I've been using Gemini Pro because it's so freaking reliable and it works every time. And the design of pages that it creates is just super clean. It's such a pleasure to work with. All right, so it's found some issues. It's going to change the way it's installing the package. In the meantime, I'm going to switch to the browser. And let's see, it should be resolving this error. Let it wait for installation to complete. The awesome thing about this is that you can have bugs and fixes work in the background and just come back and see what happened. Well, it did resolve it. That's really interesting. So let's try it again. Still a problem, and copy and paste the error. So let's see what will happen this time. So as you can see, it's decided that it's going to go for a different package, and it's now installing that package and adding the imports into the right pages. I have noticed, by the way, that Gemini 3 Pro is very heavily in demand, and they're at peak times during the day. I'm recording this kind of 2 o'clock Eastern time when it's really hard to get their response in a timely basis. All right, so now we have finished. Let's see what the feature looks like. So we're running locally and we have export. Let's click on export. And now let's see what this looks like in Excel. Finally it's loaded. All right, so let's look. This looks so much better. So it's using a nice font and it has some different column widths for the different columns. This is beautiful. Let's see what did it do to the master items table. So they all look pretty similar, but that's what I was looking for. All right, so it took a little jiggering. The lesson learned here is that if you're experiencing bugs on the browser, I just copy the browser errors. Let me show you a couple of things that I do for debugging so that you can use that in the future. So let's go back to the browser, Control-Shift-I, and that gives me the console. If I have errors here, I'll just copy this and I'll paste it into cursor and ask it to fix those errors. If I see an error in the terminal, I'll grab it from here and paste it. That's pretty much it. This will resolve all of them. And if I have an issue with deployment, it is really smart. Let's take this, which is now completely done, and push this out to render. If there are issues, a lot of times things break when you start to add packages, which is what we just did. We used the Excel.js package, and sometimes that will break. So this is going to go into my GitHub. So GitHub now will receive an update, and you will see that as GitHub refreshes, there you go. There are changes to the source from just now, and that will trigger a rebuild on render. So render will start the rebuild, and if there are any errors here, then those are going to be what I'm going to put in the cursor to ask it to resolve. But that should give you a sense of my workflow. Feel free to drop me a note, subscribe, and if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know what you'd like to see more.